Walking up the Longu Gorge one day, tracking the cats and looking for photographs, I met some local hunters. And there was one hunter there who really set his eyes on snow leopard. Pelts were worth something. And as I went up, I noticed there were these spears sticking up on the ground. So any animal coming along would sort of jump and impale itself on a spear. And sure enough, we went further over the cliff. Buried under the rocks there, I noticed something sticking out. I could see some fur back there, and I could see in front of it the bait was a snow leopard. And it was the skinned cat, the entire frozen carcass. It was the saddest thing I'd ever seen. Seeing that cat, just epitomized to me the threats that the entire species are facing. And that was my inspiration.
I've been at meetings where government officials and researchers are arguing amongst themselves, and then when he speaks up, the whole room goes silent. There is this reverence people have for Rodney. When he speaks, everybody kind of listens.
We realize that science only takes you so far.
I think the thing about Rodney's personality that really has enabled him to carry through his vision goes back as far as his childhood when he was running around in South Africa and finding tracks of leopards and wildlife.
For over 30 years, Dr. Rodney Jackson has chased his childhood dream. Working in the high mountain ranges, Jackson has tracked and studied the elusive snow leopard on foot and for months at a time. While the views can be spectacular, the elevation can be especially challenging for Jackson.
Snow leopards live generally above 12,000 feet. The more precipitous it is, the more cliffs it has, the better the snow leopards love it. This brings real problems to me because I really fear heights. But that's what you have to do. You have to do it.
Rodney is the pioneer of snow leopard conservation, and anyone who's been in snow leopard habitat realizes how difficult it is to find these animals, and the fact that he's been able to carry out long-term research on them is just really, really exciting, really terrific.
To see the snow leopard, you have to go in the dead of winter. You have to sleep in a tent in temperatures down 20 below zero. The study that we did in Nepal in the 1980s, we ended up being snowbound in a two-person camping tent for 7 weeks. And that was my first introduction to Rodney's tenacity, actually.
Jackson's dedication begins with basic science. Radio tracking and camera trapping are crucial elements to studying the movement of the snow leopard. In the early 1980s, Jackson helped to pioneer these methods, capturing some of the first images of snow leopards in the wild.
Camera trapping, I think, is a really critical tool that we have, and I'm really excited because more and more we are involving the local people. We can deploy cameras that school kids in Nepal are putting out.
Jackson founded the Snow Leopard Conservancy in 2000, with an emphasis on pushing for snow leopard conservation at a grassroots level. Dealing with issues that arise from human-animal conflict in the snow leopard's home range means helping citizens of these areas to maintain their way of life while learning to coexist with the snow leopard.
The communities that suffer from livestock depredation are really not behind it all because they see the snow leopard as a pest. We've got to ensure that the herders that live in these remote areas see the snow leopard as being more valuable alive than dead.
The shamans and the...
Dealing with that, you've really got to address the educational component as well as some of the cultural mindsets, which, sometimes can go back, several hundred or 1,000 years.
Through these partnerships with local people that I think is going to be the future to the snow leopard in two ways. One is to reduce the depredation of livestock. More important is to improve people's livelihoods.
After over 30 years devoted to studying the snow leopard, Jackson knows that conservation of the cats has reached a critical stage.
The clock is approaching the midnight hour. We've got to act quickly, and it's all the more clear to me that what we need is the partnership of all people to work together to protect this really rare cat.
He's not going to quit. 30 years devoted to one particular species, to see that those efforts have been successful, to see that snow leopards are seen more and more. He's lived his dream. When he was that little kid, he dreamed of doing what he's doing right now. How lucky he is to be able to do that.